Welcome everybody back to Sapper Woodworking. I'm here with my nephew Zachary, who's an accomplished woodworker in his own right, and I've got a quick little project we're going to work on today. This is a cutting board that came out of a friend of mine's house that he had moved into, and we'll talk a little bit why this particular board broke in half and how we're going to go about fixing it today.
So one of the biggest problems with this cutting board is during its original construction, the creator decided to fix this board together with grains running in opposite directions. So the grain directions are perpendicular, and that is a no-no in woodworking. And so today, in this video, we're going to address that problem. We're going to share with you 3 ways that we would like to fix this project. We'll share with you our favorite one, and we'll show you how we do it.
So today we're going to take you through a couple of steps with 3 possible fixes for this particular cutting board. We're not going to count the one, how it was actually manufactured, because this was designed to fail. We're going to take you through maybe an old school method that I did when I was much younger. We'll take you through one that might use mechanical hand tools that not everybody has. And then we'll take you through the fix that I'd recommend on a table saw, which is the fundamental cornerstone to any shop, and hopefully most people out there will have a table saw.
Let's get started.
So I mentioned that this particular cutting board was designed to fail from the get-go. And the reason is because wood moves and breathes with changes in the moisture conditions in the environment that it's located. This is a cutting board that's going to get wet. The wood is going to move perpendicular to its grain. So this part of the board is going to move this way, and this piece of wood is going to move that way. So this glue joint is going to be fighting the wood movement consistently. So it's not a surprise to me that this failed. So in order to fix that, we needed to address wood movement within our design. And what's nice about this is a simple project to fix, but that whole idea of wood movement applies to whatever you're making. It doesn't matter whether it's a picture frame, a small jewelry box, or a tabletop. You need to design in the idea that wood will move with changes in the environmental humidity. And so we'll address that here with our potential fixes. We have 3 that we'd like to do. One is old school. One is more using some modern handheld tools. And the third one is maybe the simplest of all 3 that we can do on a table saw or a router table.
So because this method was designed to fail, we're definitely not going to use that. Now, another method that has been done in the past, more commonly, is securing this broken off piece using dowels. Now, we have a jig here that I'm going to let Uncle Michael explain because I have no idea how it works.
This is something I would have used when I was much younger, but it's a simple method to align dowels in a project. You just drill a hole in one side. So in this case, I would drill a little hole in this side of the board. The little dowel set fits in there with a little sharp point. I can press that up against the end, and it's going to leave an indentation of the exact location where I need to drill my hole. I drill the opposing hole, put a dowel in there, and now I've got wood going in the same direction into this piece, and that will help support that joint in the event of movement with moisture.
So now we know that this little jig is to help align the dowels within our 2 pieces of material, and will help give the board some more structural integrity. So now that we have some additional methods of attaching these pieces, we're going to start to get into more complex and methods that will allow the connection to be much stronger.
A second method that I could certainly do would be to use some kind of a handheld tool. This one happens to be a Festool Domino. You could also use a biscuit joiner. These are both designed to cut some kind of a groove inside the edge of the wood, where you can insert a supportive piece similar to a dowel that would also insert into this side and support that in 2 separate directions. Right, so the third method that we've chosen to fix this cutting board is probably the simplest, and the only tool you do need is a table saw, which many of you probably have in your shops. We're going to create a tongue and groove. The purpose of this is by creating the tongue on this side of the cutting board and the groove on this side of the cutting board, we're actually going to have flat grain that's going to be able to glue up against additional flat grain rather than this piece gluing against end grain. And that's going to create pretty strong joint.
start that.
And there you have it, folks. Half hour in the clamps overnight, then we'll sand it all down and present our buddy with a brand new cutting board. So the cutting board glue up is finished. We've got the tongue and groove here set, so in this particular part of the joint right there and right there, we have end grain that meets up with end grain, and that should create a nice tight joint. And you can kind of see the sample here that we had cut before we ended up working. And now we're ready to top coat this with some oil and beeswax, and we could take it back to our friend and he could have a nice cutting board that should last a lifetime. Thanks. Welcome back to Sapper Woodworking. I'm here with my nephew Zach. He's an accomplished woodworker. Do a little, what do you call it, the bloopers at the end?
Yeah.